is Run the Numbers, and my name is Jason. The video that you're watching here on the Run the Numbers channel is part of the warm-up series. So that means you're watching me, yours truly, walk through the streets of Los Angeles, California, where I will, yes, walk through and be in motion, but also be talking to you about great topics related to personal finance. So that whole thing then means the warm-up series is this walk and talk, and that's what in fact you've tuned in right here and now. So I promised a good topic to talk about related to personal finance, and today definitely lives up to that. Today we're talking about the strength of your network. So why are we talking about the strength of your network? Of course, we always have to start with why, and it might be obvious to some, but let's just kind of mention it here that you can utilize your network to produce different things for you, to gain different things from your network, and whether that may be connections to a job that of course affects your personal finance, because your employment, your income there obviously will have bearing on your personal finance. But it could be other things as well. It could be related to getting help for your business. It could be about getting investment advice that relates to personal finance, of course. So all these things, yes, the strength of your, you could even say the power of your network really matters, and it does have this ability to impact your personal finance in general. Okay, so now that we've established that, yes, this is good, this makes sense to talk about your network, the power, the strength of your network in general. We've sort of gotten an approval here to talk about it. The why makes sense. Okay, let's go ahead and now talk about the actual how to think up through the strength of your network. And let's do it with an analogy, because everybody loves analogies. So let's go ahead and frame our thinking of the strength of our network by comparing it to a sports car, and in particular the use of a sports car. So first and foremost, it's great to think about the what and the actual makeup of your network, and that's to say the actual what it is your sports car is all about. That's the fun and the flashy parts to it, because there's a lot of different details to get into as to what makes your network what it is to you, how you define your network, if it's about people that you're connected to for various reasons, the relative ties to different people in your network, that's to say the different nodes of your network, if those are very strong ties, weak ties, that sort of element to it. That's very interesting to think through. To the same idea then of the analogy is what makes it up, what actually makes your sports car again flashy and exciting. Is it all the way down to the details of the tires and the engine and the actual build and the make and model of your sports car? That's kind of the what. That's the core of thinking through about your network. That's of course important to do, but I want to introduce two other parts that bring up this idea of then what makes truly your network powerful, and yes, it brings up into the strength of your network, and that's to say then as to how useful your sports car is. So we've established the what, your actual sports car itself, your network itself. But now let's talk about, actually utilizing it and kind of, which is, um, with the sports car analogy, how often do you actually drive it? Is this a big, flashy, fancy sports car that you, in fact, just leave in the driveway? Well, obviously then you're not going to get much use of your sports car. You might have paid a whole lot of money and worked really hard to get that sports car. I'm going to go ahead and turn around here. But in the same way of working very hard for that, building up that network, but in fact, if you prefer to, with career moves or with your different investments you make, if you want to go at it alone and not really seek any help, and basically, you leave that sports car in the driveway and you never really tap into your network, then you'll realize that, in fact, the strength of your network really isn't all that it could be, in the same way of, leaving that sports car in the driveway. Okay, so that's something to mention. Now I want to mention a third thing about the strength of your network is also then what you actually do and how you utilize. So we can talk about the frequency, leaving it in the driveway, how often you actually approach your network, but also the manner in which you utilize your network, how you go about utilizing your network. So you could go ahead and continue this sports car analogy and say, okay, well, are you actually taking your sports car to the track and maybe even putting it into various competitions, basically utilizing your sports car to get the gains that you're seeking, or are you just taking your sports car and taking it to the grocery store, and it just kind of becomes a very, very fancy, daily driver, not really doing anything that actually takes advantage of the fact that you've got this amazing sports car, but you could have just had a minivan or some other car. I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek. I happen to have a minivan, so there you go. But this is just to say, your big flashy sports car isn't actually going to do it, going to actually truly flex in the ways that you want it. Okay, so that's kind of the analogy part to it. So what am I talking about then with the network is how you actually go about utilizing your network. Can you actually, and again, frequently, don't just leave it in the driveway, can you at times with some degree of frequency approach your network, go ahead and reach out to people for possible career advancement, possible advice and help related to maybe starting a new business, starting a new side hustle. It could be about ways to level up in the career that you have, in terms of just gaining additional training. There could be so many different ways to think through the actual ways to go of using your sports car, of using your network. And so it's very helpful to think through as to the strength of your network, the different ways and the different approaches, some that could very much be improved upon, and that could then help you to sort of get a picture, help even define to you the strength of your network. Okay. So that's all good, said and done. Hopefully you've thought through a little bit as to these different, I kind of defined it in these three different ways: the actual what of your network, the way that you can approach your network to actually utilize it, and then how you utilize your network. So those three coming together are good ways to help, at least with an initial you could say estimation, with an initial thought for the strength of your network. Okay, I know that this obviously can get you thinking into many other topics as to, okay, what are ways then to better build your actual network itself, and to make that sports car upgraded, and to actually improve the what of your network. Okay, we can talk at length about that. Love to go into it. Let me know that you want to hear that. Also, let me know, or let me know that you'd much rather get some tips and have some thinking through as to better ways to utilize your network. How often? How often? In the sense of, you know, driving your sports car, how often do you kind of want to let it rest, don't want to overdrive it, that kind of thing, but overall you do want to utilize it with some degree of frequency, so we could definitely talk through that. And lastly, the third, this is kind of forming something of a summary of the things we talked about, but also I want to know if you'd like that topic, but also if you'd like the more thoughts and more sort of I guess strategies on the ways to approach your network. Do you want to think through as to your network and kind of go one layer, you know, deeper into the social graph of your network, and if you get strike out because you're wanting to know specific knowledge about a particular thing and you've basically asked everyone in your network, well, now's the time to think through, okay, maybe not my immediate contacts, my, you could say, first degree contacts, but maybe I want to see if someone knows someone else that I don't know, and basically expands out, again, one layer beyond in the social graph, and thereby, you know, you can have different approaches to still get to the outcome you want. Okay, that also could be very interesting to know. So please go ahead and reach me. Best way, of course, is just go ahead and make a comment to this video, and while you're at it, go ahead and like it, and while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to the channel in general. All right, I've pleaded with all you about, I've pleaded at length with all the things I'm going to say, so I'll leave it there. All right, gotta run.